We are going to be jumping into the draft phase right here, right now. As you can see, it is going to be GEEK Fam going up against RSGPH. And we have GEEK Fam on the blue side this time. And let's take a look at the ban so far. And I think, you know, just now Irad, he brought up a very, very important factor as well. Like, will teams actually ban off all his assassins? Because if they do so, he's gonna kind of struggle. Because Colius is brought up as well. When he was playing with RQ, he was just playing tanks all the way too. But Irad is known for his assassins.
Exactly. So we really want to see that.
Yeah, we would love to be able to see more aggressive gameplay overall. So with Manny, Hayabusa, and Ling all banned already, that does limit the possible assassin pool quite a bit, with Julian being one of the more obvious answers that you would want to contest for at this point. And not too sure if it's something GEEK Fam would go for as first pick here, because they do ban that hardest. So things like the Roger and the Moskov are going to be available.
I think it comes down towards the coach's drafting preferences, right? Like, I think if you were to take a good example with the AP brand, why would they pick heroes like Julian? Why would they pick heroes like Edith? Because they can be flex. It's to kind of have a mind game to force your opponent's drafter to kind of mess up their drafts, expecting that, hey, we might be facing off against an Arlet XP. Oh wait, it's not an Arlet XP. Something like that. But in this case, GEEK Fam, they are going to prioritize on that Arlet. So this might be a flex pick coming in from GEEK Fam.
Yep, very likely going to be a flex pick. But is it really first pick worthy though? What you guys think?
In the past, Arlet as a first pick was very, very common.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays, yes, you can still flex him into both Roam and EXP, but there's definitely more valuable heroes, which we immediately see from RSGPH.
We are definitely looking at the...
Oh, the Beloyski special!
Beloy Hellcat! Let's go! Please don't put this in the jungle. Please let Beloy play Hellcat.
I don't think this is in the jungle. Like, oh my
it
god.
immediately became so much more tolerable. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's insufferable right now, because I mean, we're looking at Arlet. Arlet first pick is definitely not in our books, but when it comes down to the Hellcat third pick, oh yeah, that's what we want, right? But in the end of the day, GEEK Fam versus RSG Philippines. This is essentially gonna be the battle of the PH Romans, and looking at the past achievements, accolades, as well as what we know about Beloyski versus Light, both of them has pretty much been crowned as one of the best PH Romans.
I think it comes down to, you know, just back to basics, right? Like when it comes to back to basics here, what kind of composition you want? You need two frontliners, and what I mean by frontliners are like tanky heroes that can soak damage, and then you need a mage, a support, and a mage, a marksman, as well as a jungler, right? So these are pretty much the 5 core concepts of how you want to develop a composition. They mentioned that they swapped their jungler as well. So now they have a jungler that is very comfortable in fighter roles junglers. So I guess getting a fighter jungler kind of helps Beloyski do his own thing. Because Beloyski, he is going to lose out a lot of tanking potential or face shaking potential in this composition. So if they pick a jungler, you know, if they go back to basics, you know, for the past 2 years, tank junglers all the way through, it would fit because they have a Hellcat right now.
You're gonna have to supplement the fact that whenever your jungler is lacking the damage, someone else have to pick up the pace.
It's kind of like give and take, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Because you gotta always just hit all of the factors for a solid lineup, right? That's why when you see people go like Zeus in mid, you need wave clear from your roamer instead, right? So if you're taking something from somewhere, you gotta put it back somewhere else. But that does still hedge on whether or not this truly is going to be that Hellcat roam, which I hope it is.
I hope so.
It's not impossible that this goes into the hand of Vincent instead, but we will find that out later.
But that also, like you said, right? Well, we take what was the word that you say? Where we take, we put back or something like that?
Give or take.
Give or take. Yeah, so basically now with a Hellcat roam, potentially, we would not be expecting that typical tag team between the roamer and the mage in the middle lane to wave clear. So we really require someone in the middle lane to either have a lane priority all by her or himself to really deal with a Zask. And we have seen before that once we have a Zask on the opponent's side, even if you have the pressure coming in from 2% in the middle lane, that's not going to do anything to Zask. So perhaps that is why GEEK Fam have decided to pick up a Hellcat for themselves themselves because they don't even need that kind of wave clear in middle lane and that kind of pressure onto Azaz.
Yeah, and I guess that's going to be a situation here. But RSGPH, you know, they go for the next best option. It's going to be the Julian jungle coming in from RSGPH. I was expecting maybe GeekFam was banging on the fact that they're going to force this Roger in the jungle role, but guess what? 5 bans isn't enough to ban it all because now RSGPH, they have the Julian. And this is going to be quite annoying to work with here. But GeekFam, they go for the Baxia jungle. Okay, so that pretty much solidifies saying that, hey,
it's a Hellcurt roll.
Baloyski Hellcurt, right there.
Yeah. They're going to be looking for a mid lane. The Vex is still there as an obvious choice. But Aurora also going to be very good at dealing with heroes like Terizla and Roger to make sure they cannot just easily jump into your face. So GeekFam definitely wielding a lineup that I am very excited to watch.
We still is left with one final pick from RSGPH. We've got Julian Jungle, Terizla EXP, Roger Gold, and Zask in mid. And this is where we will want to ask. The Battle of the PH Roma, what exactly are they going to be picking out for Light? With Akai, Chip, all gone, what's the next potential pick?
They can just go back to basic. Minotaur isn't too bad as well.
They could go Cho or Kaja.
Yeah, Cho isn't too bad, not bad as well.
Yeah.
But no, okay, they go for the Grok. All right. I can respect that. Like, Grok is great for just soaking up the burst coming from Hellcurt.
Yeah, I think Grok also plays a very important role because we know that Baxia is a very active hero in the first couple of minutes, so you need to have a roamer that can actually match that vision and mobility and maybe even disrupt them a little bit in the jungle, of which the best choice is going to be Grok.
So with that all said and done, we've got both teams that have finished the drafting stage. GeekFam, understandably, with the Baloyski special. Definitely going to spice things up quite a bit. While RSGPH, back to the basics, they have got basically whatever that they need from every single lane. They've nothing too out of the ordinary per se, probably just the Zask special that we very much has been seeing throughout the entirety of today. And SPS, we are seeing so much Zask, I'm pretty much expecting that Zask is going to be skyrocketing when it comes down to the pick ban rate. But I'm gonna excuse myself now, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm going to be passing time over to ICBaby as well as Sadafa as we head over to the Land of Dawn for match number 3.
Well. Thank you so much, Abstract, here, because we're going to be jumping straight into game. This is going to be GeekFam versus RSGPH game number 1 here, and this is going to be an exciting one here, Safa.
And we have to note that there are going to be some stakes here. Remember, this is the group stage. Every victory is important. Every point gained is valuable. RSG, they already won 2-0 against Bigatron earlier today, so they're sitting quite comfortably. But GeekFam ended up dropping their game against Homeboys. And speaking of...
Yeah, seems like, speaking of harassments here, they have a lot of things that they have to bring to the table. Like, all cards on the table. They bring in the pocket strategy from Baloyski, and hopefully he is going to be able to dictate the tempo here, because RSGPH, they're going all out. Guess what? They're looking at Baloyski. They force a little bit of reactions coming in. He's taking some damage, but seems like they're just not letting him do his own thing right now. So RSGPH are doing okay.
I just realized that Baloyski actually is going execute as well. So he is very much going into this game with the aim of picking people off, which could be difficult. There's quite a number of heroes on the RSGPH side that won't easily go down.
I don't know if he's going to go for Sky Piercer or not, but if he does so rather early, RSGPH is going to have a very, very difficult time here. Especially for Aqua, if he's not inside his demonic dominance descent in particular, he is going to be in a little bit of trouble here, because once Baloyski gets in, he is going to silence somebody and kill someone. But in this case, Baloyski, he is going to fall. He got caught up all by himself. No backup whatsoever, and RSGPH gets a very, very nice kill. First blood by them, and immediately they're gobbling up on Gobs as well. He doesn't have his force, so no final slash to kind of extend those fights. And now with the Aurora out coming in, RSGPH, they're looking for the steal. They don't get it. GeekFam, they take the turtle and they will back out instead, unless they want to force it. They just got the 4, but nope. Looks like they are going to try and harass the purple buff here. Vincent, he needs back up. Here it comes. Penalty zone comes in. Vincent getting completely shredded by Iran. Dark Knight Falls comes in, but RSGPH is still
trying to steal the purple buff away. They finally take it away, but at the expense of losing Nibor. But Iran, again, a double kill for him for RSGPH.
And this is the risk, right, of playing those assassin roamers. Yes, you can be annoying, but you really gotta play it well, because you just don't have the health pool to be able to match up against heroes like that Grok. And because of that, we see Beloyski getting picked off twice in basically the same fight because of how long that extended. GEEK Fam may have secured the turtle, but giving up 3 kills already is not a good sign, especially since Irad was able to get quite a lot of EXP from that to immediately surpass Vincent in farm speed.
You know, well done to RSGPH, man. Like, they utilize that 7-second time frame so well. Whenever Iran has a spell, they commit to the fight, and GEEK Fam wasn't able to break that tempo because of that. But nevertheless here, even though they've got 2 kills here, the economy is not that far off between both this team here. So I was expecting more of a huge swing for RSGPH, unless Loisky, he's gonna try to do a little bit of harassment for Irad, but Irad says, I don't care. I'm just gonna shake it off and I'm gonna move away. But now, here comes the commitment. Nice sidestep coming in from Irad with the enhanced swords here. He's gonna be able to get out, and GEEK Fam will be left with nothing once more.
My primary concern in this game for GEEK Fam is that while yes, they do have a pretty solid late game scaling with the Moskov, RSG just has a lot more DPS potential overall once they have items under their belt. And that means that if GEEK Fam are not able to make things happen with this Baxia Hellcurt combo early on, they'll end up losing a lot in terms of scaling as the game progresses.
Yeah, speaking of scaling as well, Beloyski used his first stingers. He's gonna try and force his way through, but line! He fights too! Under the brush, wall charge. Here comes the drop as well. GEEK Fam, they need to get out. Dark Knight's Fault has committed, but Vincent, he might bleed out, and yes, he will to the Terisla. Nibor flickers out of there, and RSGPH, they're looking to commit a turtle, and they will get it once more. A 2-for-0 exchange. And they're looking for even more as well. Gobbs, he needs to get out. He's completely trapped as well. The spear does not connect to back him up. But RSG says, okay, it's enough. 2 kills, 1 turtle, job's done.
A very efficient play there from RSG Philippines. It did look like they wanted to proceed for more, but I like that they had the discipline to decide, okay, this is not the time to try and push more advantage. We already got more than enough. And we can see the weakness of GEEK Fam's lineup here. Because of the fact that they had to go for a Baxia to make up for the lack of tankiness on the Hellcurt roam, a lot of their setup is heavily dependent on Govs on this Arlet. And if he is not able to get the final slash out, or even worse, if RSG finds the better initiation timing first, there really is no way for GEEK Fam to stop them. Once the freeze is used by a boy, the fight just goes completely in RSG's favor.
Yep, now GEEK Fam opting to go for a little bit split push here, not looking to commit to fights against RSGPH. They're starting to play for their split push strategy. In this case, Beloyski is going to play that role right now. He's farming up a little bit as a roamer, but guess what? He gets dived on. Julian going for the burst, but he survives with 1 HP, sidesteps his way through, dodging it, but it's not going to be enough. The damage has been done by GEEK Fam! They get a 3-man up from our boy to turn the tides. RSGPH, they commit to this fight, and now Light is gonna fall. Gobbs gets a triple kill for GEEK Fam, and RSGPH was not expecting that at all.
Now that's a big mistake there from RSG, diving a little bit too deep. Feeling a little bit overconfident there because they were already so heavily in the lead, and then all just running into the ultimate of a boy to get frozen. That time that was bought by the Aurora allowed Gobbs to heal back up through the Vengeance spam and actually dish out the necessary damage to pick up a triple kill, immediately shifting the gold over to GEEK Fam's side and making this an even game.
Oh boy, RSGPH, they've paid the price and now they have to equalize. They're starting to respect what GEEK Fam brings to the table, but as of now, it comes down to this one turtle fight. Skypiercer up on a boy, but Vincent, he's looking for the steal. He drives away, sidesteps away, takes the turtle, but he's stuck, he's committed. He pops the Tortoise Baton, but where's the backup? No backup from GEEK Fam. They'll let it through, they'll get the turtle, they lose his life, but guess what? The side lanes are completely shoved on towards RSGPH's towers. And Kadera now in a little bit of trouble. He needs to go for a side step. They're committing the fight, but the wall charge misses from line. And Kadera is able to get out. He's getting poked apart, but he won't escape his near death. Gops buys a little bit more time. RSGPH, do they find the kill? Yes, they do. Gops will fall.
GEEK fam is starting to find a little bit more space here. RSG trying to force things, making some mistakes, even trying to push down tier 1 mid.
Oh my goodness, penalty zone to try buy a little bit more time as well. Our boy is taking a little bit too much damage. He flickers out to safety, but they somehow defend the middle turret. RSGPH, they are getting very desperate.
Yeah, I'm worried if they may be getting a bit too desperate here. The gold difference now not going to be very much, only 1k for RSGPH, yet it allows them to feel confident enough. Irad actually able to steal an orange buff away from Vincent as well. But you have to realize that GEEK fam, as long as they're able to time their windows of entrance properly, they do actually do a good amount of damage. Boy, actually even going for Blood Wings into Sky Piercer, because he's realizing that he is the one dishing out most of the control and damage in these fights.
Oh my goodness, topside Kadera connects the spear, they find Kusei, and GEEK fam now looking to punish the separated members of RSGP. Light is trying to buy a lot of time, but guess what, GEEK fam, they're just, you know, leaving him to starve as long as they can while they get the maximum value of farm. But by doing so, RSGPH, they find one at the bottom lane as well. Our boy will go down.
They're not in position to be able to go up and provide backup, so instead they look for a kill on a boy in the bot lane. It's something for RSG, but losing Kusi and Light there are actually quite detrimental considering the timing of the Lord spawning. Unfortunately though, because of the way that the macro has been going, we can see that Beloyski, despite not having the best early game, still contributes a good amount with that Dark Knight Falls, turning off the lights and making it difficult for RSG to actually position themselves across the map.
Well, he just got his GDS as well, so that's going to be something that I think RSGPH needs to be a little bit careful where Beloyski may be coming out from a surprise factor. Meanwhile, Lord now 50% waiting for the right moment strike. Vincent gets scouted out by Light. They pop the wall charge to try and stop him in his drag, but it looks like he's not going to get the Lord, but they are all clumped up. A big catch from our boy, and here he comes the rest of GEEK fam. They're going to try and finish off the low members here. Kusei first to fall. Next is Irad. Beloyski gets a double. Triple for him. Can he get the Maniac? No, he does not. Stolen away by Kadera, but GEEK fam, in the night, they strike. They completely shut down RSGPH.
They found the right angles and they're able to set up these angles because the lights are just turned off. RSG, they can only choose to commit on the Lord here to make sure that GEEK fam doesn't get it for free, but at what cost? They just allow themselves to be pincered, and Kadera and Beloyski being able to come in from multiple angles to catch off the squishier, low health members of RSG. A boy doing a lot of work for his team right now. This Aurora able to set things up in a team composition that really doesn't have that much initiation.
The night is dark and full of terrors. In this case, RSGPH, what do they do? Beloyski out of nowhere just pops off, and now they have to play very, very safely here. And finally, we do see a huge gold craft swing in favor of GEEK fam. And this is going to put RSGPH in a very, very awkward spot.
GEEK fam now in control, already getting more towers and structures as well. Personally speaking, RSG Philippines needs to slow things down. They have a composition that is actually not bad at all at peeling, especially with the zone control that Zask and Karizla should be providing them. Yes, it's very hard to fight during that Dark Knight Falls, so you really should not be forcing it. You can just scatter, you can take your time, you can back off. You gotta make sure that you're not having multiple players being hit by a boy, because that is really costing these fights for them.
Well, in this case, they've got the Blood Wings up on Irad to try and sustain throughout all these fights. They are also setting up ambushes for a boy in case... Sorry, they're setting up ambushes for Beloyski in case Beloyski gets a little bit sneaky. But guess what? On the top side, Beloyski saw that. They know, but guess what? It doesn't matter. Even if he knows, Light is gonna make sure he gets caught instantly with the wall charge. Bursts him down, shuts him out, and now they have some breathing room.
Pickup on Baloy is actually going to help a lot. Yes, they use a wild charge for it, but without the ability to turn off the lights, it'll be a lot easier for RSG Philippines to actually determine how they want to position for team fights. That's what's been making life difficult for them thus far. But GEEK fam, going to make the wise choice, not going to try and force anything, actually going to position a lot more defensively without Baloyski to open up the map for them.
Oh boy, RSGPH is trying to fight for scraps here. Even though they've got Beloyski, they finally get to push out the lanes to set up for this upcoming Lord fight. And that's something that you can see GEEK fam is already preemptively positioned themselves for it. But RSG say they might look to try and get a tier 2 or maybe even a free pickoff, but looks like it's not going to happen.
RSG going to be able to even up the tower score just a little bit here. Oh, a missed penalty zone flicker from Nibor.
So they have to reset this as well because that is going to be 100-second side on the cooldowns for those flickered up on Nibor. So the next one is going to be light here, 45 seconds. Can they buy it enough time? Because GEEK fam, they know they have the advantage now and they're looking to go for a couple of pokes here. Kadera trying to force a couple of angles here. Guess what? Ball charge coming from like completely airballing and now a big out by Aurora as RSGPH gets completely peeled apart. They lose everyone and get absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, Winston, he's going to try and escape this, and RSG, they just cannot commit to this fight as well. Kusei, he's being very sneaky. He's going to review himself, but the damage from Kadera hurts so much. He needs to run, and GEEK fam, looks like they will secure the Lord unless Beloyski will fall. No, he actually dies to the glowing wand from Aqua.
But his job is already done. That was clinical coming in from GEEK fam, having Beloyski split push the top lane, and the moment someone comes to deal with him, in this case Kusi, a very important target. You see, the moment GEEK fam saw the Roger in the top lane, they initiated. They went for the fight straight away because they knew they had the numbers advantage there. And RSG Philippines were just not able to deal with it. The Roger would not have made it back in time to contest the Lord, and GEEK fam made sure to zone out their jungle, so they're able to get that for free. Beloyski, he ends up dying, but at this stage of the game, this Hellcut is pure utility. He does not need to survive the fight, he just needs to be there long enough to turn the lights off and be annoying.
Well, speaking of annoyance here, RSGPH, they need to play around the Zaz, but in this case, the amount of damage that Kadera is bringing to the table, it seems to be very, very difficult to do so. As you can see, Kadera starting to poke their way through. Even the demonic spawn just... the nightmarish spawn just couldn't even survive barely a couple of seconds because of the damage coming from Kadera. And this is going to be a problem for them as well. Lord crashing on the tier 3s and Vincent looking for the push. Final Stash tries to drag Nibor out of position, but they're not committed yet. They're focusing on the Lord defense. Meanwhile, GEEK fam making work on towards the tier 3s. Light just cannot tank Kadera's damage at all. Kadera is just such a hero right now in the front lines for GEEK fam.
We are definitely seeing some really clean execution here though from GEEK fam. I love what they're doing, using the Lord, effectively taking out every inhibitor, not trying to force things out. You can tell that some discipline has been cemented in these players, even if as they put it, is a little bit of a newer lineup. And now Kadera is a massive thorn in the side of RSGPH. We know that Moskov is one of the best scaling marksmen in the game, able to 1v5 if the situation is correct for him. And GEEK fam, they're all about setting that up. They have so many ways of making sure that this Moskov will just be able to tear through the ranks of RSG Philippines.
Oh boy, Beloyski. He is going to try and finish things up for Kadera in case there are a couple of stragglers. In this case, RSGPH, they're fighting for scraps once more. They are going to have their orange buff jeopardized, but as of yet, what can they do at this stage? Because it seems like in terms of timings, what are they aiming for?
In terms of timings, RSG Philippines has already hit a point where they have enough items to actually do a significant amount of damage to GEEK fam. They just need to have better positioning. Again, they gotta be more wary about being too forward in the map, because the moment that Dark Knight Falls is activated, they need to scramble, right? Because no matter how good you are in your team positioning, it's gonna be very difficult to do so. Oh, when you can't see anything.
Okay, they're looking for the conceal, they're looking for the hunt here. Beloyski, they barely have a good spidey senses here, and he does scout things out, so that's gonna be a failed concealed play coming from RSGPH. Meanwhile, GEEK fam, they're looking to try and set up the fights here. Beloyski is shoving the lanes up top. Kadera as well, trying to buy time for Beloyski to make the tempo. Aqua looking to recall back into the base here just because of the lanes, and GEEK fam making quick work on towards the Lord. Half HP. RSG, what you gonna do? Seems like they are in this array. Nibor taking too much damage here, and the spear from Kadera catches on Iran, and he's in trouble here. But no, he bought time with the Winter Crown. He sidesteps away, but he needs to get out. Meanwhile, Kadera will make quick work on the rest of the members of RSG. They poke them all bit by bit, and now they finally fall. They crumble, and the base will fall. They took too long. They could not deal with the amount of pressure that GEEK fam has done to RSGPH. What a game by GEEK fam.
I think this is a very typical GEEK fam victory, and